Welcome, brothers. If you are here, you are a man who is interested in improving his results in his health, in his relationships, in his wealth. You're wanting to improve the outcomes that you're getting in life. And I'm going to be sharing a framework tonight. This is going to be about giving you information you can go and use in your life. You're going to be able to take away what I'm going to teach you tonight, and you're going to be able to go and implement it in your lives. And if you want help to implement that, that's the invitation that we're going to be giving you tonight. I'm going to be sharing a framework that I've used to go from being unhealthy, unhappy, unfulfilled to creating a life I love, a relationship of my dreams, living a life on purpose. I have a life that I love. And over the last 6 years, in the work that I've done with men, I've helped probably 500 plus men. We stopped counting a little while ago, online and in person, to create better health, better relationships, start businesses, become better fathers, leaders, husbands. Ultimately, we are here to help you men create the life that you love. So for those who haven't met me, my name's Jason. Hi, good to see you, bros. So for those who are watching on the recording, great to see you. Those who are here live on the call, thank you for being with us. My name's Jason Blewett. I'm the founder of the Primal Man Project. And men, I wasn't always like this. Going back a few years ago, I was struggling. I was lost as a man. And what I found out was that there was some really simple things that I could implement in my life that would help me achieve the results I wanted in my health, in my relationships, in my wealth, and in my success. And over the last 5 years, 6 years, I've helped men to install these really key pieces to have them get the outcomes that they're looking for. Move on from divorce, move on from childhood trauma, move on from the challenges that we all have as men, but that we don't always know how to address, or we don't always know how to get there. So I want to share a little story for those who are not familiar with me. Maybe for those who are a little, I'm going to share a little bit about my background, so it helps to understand where I'm coming from. So here's my story. 10 years ago, I had this idyllic life. I was married, I had a young son, I had a law degree, a corporate job, lived in an apartment in the city, had all the things that I was supposed to have. But under the surface, it wasn't what it seemed. My wife really struggled with her mental health. She had bipolar disorder. She was struggling with addiction to drugs and alcohol. And our relationship and our life really revolved around two things. It was partying and then partying some more. And our relationship was not aligned. We didn't have a similar set of values about how we wanted to live our lives. And so there was an enormous amount of conflict. And the coping strategies that we both used to avoid the fact that we were both in a life that we didn't want were really dysfunctional. And unfortunately, where that landed, when it came to a head for me, was one morning after a big night of booze and drugs and fighting. I came out and my wife wasn't in bed, and I went out to the kitchen, and the first thing I saw was the empty bottles of pills. They were strewn across the tiled floor of the kitchen. And as I came around the corner, I saw my wife on the floor, or actually kind of half on the couch. And it was clear she wasn't conscious. And it was also really clear that that was not a position that she would have fallen asleep in. It was contorted, kind of half on the arm of the couch. And the strangest part about that experience wasn't what I saw, it was how I felt. I felt numb. And the thought that went through my head was, she's finally done it. She'd threatened it many times. And it was at that moment, or very shortly afterwards, that I realized I needed to get out. I needed to get out of that situation, and I needed to move on with my life. So fast forward about 12 months after separation, a messy custody battle, DVO allegations, which were, thrown out. I finally could move on with my life. And what I did in that preceding time was to find comfort in all the wrong places. I went straight onto Tinder and was spending hundreds of dollars a month on Tinder boosts and spending 2 or 3 hours a day swiping to try and find the next bit of comfort. I went into compulsive dating. I was dating and sleeping with four or five women a week. I was going to massage parlors, drinking, party drugs, really dysfunctional way of coping with what I had gone through. All the while I was trying to manage a job, trying to be a single dad. And what happened was I bounced between dysfunctional relationships. And by about the third crazy ex, I realized that the common denominator was me. And again, I realized something had to change. I was overweight. I was unhappy. I was overwhelmed. I had really poor health habits. I was completely isolated. I didn't have anybody in my life that I could go to around the struggles of what I was dealing with. I kept all of my challenges to myself. I don't know if anybody resonates with that. If anybody's been through hard times in their life, that they shut it down, they don't talk about it. That was how I went. I didn't have a long-term plan for my life or where I was going. I didn't have any clarity about what I wanted to create for my life. I'd been through the divorce and separation, but I'd not sought any help about it. What I really wanted was I wanted good health. I wanted to be in good shape. I wanted to have a good relationship. I wanted to have goals and set them and achieve them. And I wanted to have a life. Here's the kicker. I wanted to have a life that I was proud of. So this was something that my friends and people around me eventually started to notice. And a couple of independent people told me, they said, you need to go and do some work on yourself. And two people separately told me to go to the same event. It was a men's personal development workshop. So I had no fucking clue what this thing was about. I'd never done any men's work before. In fact, I'd refused the same invitation 10 years earlier to the same event, saying that was for broken people. So I went along to this event and it was like the crucible, very confronting, very intense. And it was a fucking game changer. I learned a lot about myself. I learned that all the results of the things that happened in my life were because of my choices. I couldn't blame my parents. I couldn't blame my bullies in school. I couldn't blame my crazy exes. I couldn't blame anybody else except myself. I had to take full responsibility. So fast forward 12 months and I went balls deep, not in a dodgy way. I went balls deep in a good way into personal development. Podcasts, books, seminars, workshops, coaching. I went and consumed as much as I possibly could. I went in full immersion mode into working on myself. I pulled myself apart in lots of different ways. But here's what I found. As I was going to these events, I'd have these massive breakthroughs. I don't know if anybody here resonates with this. If you do resonate with this part of the story, hit me up in the chat and let me know you resonate. You went along to an event, you had a big breakthrough, and then you went back into your life. I went back into my life and all of the same habits reemerged. All of the same behaviors came about and all of the same things that I was doing, all my patterns, all of my old ways slowly kind of crept back in. So I thought, fuck, this isn't working. And as I continued to do my work on myself, as I continued to do this personal development work and actually, make some progress, what I found was I became more and more isolated. I didn't want to go and do beers with my work colleagues. I didn't want to go get fucked up on the weekends. I didn't really resonate with people I went to uni with, I went to school with, I went to work with. Just people around me just seemed to get weirder and weirder. I was like, what? Why do people work that way? Why are they doing the things that they're doing? I became isolated and I started to realize that this journey couldn't be done on my own. So what I realized was that I needed to surround myself with high quality people, specifically men, so that I could continue to progress my results that I was getting in the breakthroughs of these big experiences, these big learnings, so that I could actually ground in my progress and be held accountable to the new standard that I was setting for myself. I realized that I needed to get in touch with good quality men and I needed to keep them in my life so that I could see them consistently. So here's what I did. I started collecting men. I became a man collector. I found them in the gym. I found them at personal development events. I was introduced to them through mutual friends. And I even picked one up like you'd pick up a woman. So the dude says to me outside the gym, he's like, hey, I saw your Instagram. And I was like, hey, yeah. We exchanged numbers. We went on a man date, like had a coffee. We were like, asking each other questions like you would on a date. The whole process for me was about congregating really high quality men. But here's what I found, even in that process, it wasn't straightforward. Some men weren't willing to put in the work to be involved in a group. What I wanted was a group of men that I could meet with regularly. What I wanted to do was to create a mastermind. I wanted to create a group of men to be held accountable to. And some of them, you know, came and left, a little bit like a one night stand. Um, some men were aligned, but then they left because they didn't have the same values. So what I realized is in collecting the group of high quality men around me, I needed to have a common set of values. I needed to have them as invested in the process as I was. And they needed to, and we needed to be able to meet regularly to actually build the relationships of trust and accountability that I needed. I knew I needed in my life. So fast forward, this is a 2-year piece of work to congregate these men into my life. Fast forward, and these were the results. That's me on the left-hand side, the chubba holding the bubba. Believe it or not, that's about me plus 20 kilos. Immediately to the right of that is me after about 18 months solid of CrossFit. I created the life that I wanted. I left a career that wasn't aligned. I created a relationship of my dreams. I founded the Primal Man Project. I developed a business through what I do that replaced my mining salary. I was making very good money as a consultant in the mining industry. And within about 10 months of the accountability and the support and the momentum that I'd gained of being around this group of high quality men, I was able to take this movement from zero, from an idea into execution. And I'm super proud of the fact that I achieved all of these results in a relatively short period of time. So what I'm going to be doing here with you men tonight is sharing with you the simple framework that I've used to make these kind of changes in my life that in the scheme of my 30 something years at the time was pretty rapid. It took me about 12 to 18 months to completely transform my life. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you here tonight. If you are here on the call or watching on the recording, stick around till the end because we have an invitation. What I want to be doing, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to share with you the framework that I've used to create this transformation for myself, to help lead hundreds of other men through this transformation and similar results in their lives and in their businesses through the Primal Man Project. And we are going to give you an invitation to join us in what we've created in the Forge. If you'd like to take that opportunity up, we're going to be outlining that later on in the call. And this is available only to those men who are watching the recording or who are with us here live on the call. So that's my intro. That's my backstory. And that's the reason why I'm here, is because these changes are possible. These changes are real. And these changes are what I have now lived and breathed. And I have tested and road tested this model in the way that we work now hundreds of times. And I'm really, really passionate about giving it to as many men as I can. Because if I keep hoarding this information, I can't achieve my personal mission, which is to meaningfully impact the lives of now 100,000 men in the next 10 years. So I want to check in with you here, brothers. I want to get your responses here in the chat. What are some of the behaviors? What are some of the things that you see in your life don't work for you that you would like to change? What are some things right away that you can see are happening for you in your life right now that you know need to change? For me, it was bad habits. I was isolating. I was not setting clear goals and achieving them. I had no clear plan and direction. All right, we're getting some great responses here. Poor health choices. Got your bestie. Lone wolfing it. David, passivity. Make sure you have your name listed here so we can identify you, brother. There's somebody there on an iPhone. People pleasing. I hear that. I 100% hear that, Nasha. I'm a recovering people pleaser. Still see that showing up for me a lot. Not seizing the moment, not expressing my needs, overthinking, lone wolfing it, lack of goal setting, isolation, addiction, nice guy. So many things that I resonate with, so many things that I experience as well. I was a vapid nice guy, would seduce and convince women that I was going to do all the things in the world for them. only for me to realize I was actually putting myself last on my own list. So, brilliant, men. Thank you for sharing. I am now going to dive straight in, and we're going to unpack the model that we're going to be exploring tonight and that I've been using now for a couple of years. This is really the summation of the 5, 6 years of work, in the Primal Man Project and before. So some of you may have seen this before, but I invite you to consider that you are not the same man and this is not the same river, so you can't cross this same river twice. All right. So for those who have not seen this model, this is a framework that we use in the Primal Man Project to help understand how to create massive results in a man's life in a short period of time. And what we ultimately want to create for a man is a life of impact, meaning the things that you do matter, the things that you do matter to people who you care about. And there is something left behind from your efforts in your life. So impact and abundance. Everybody wants an abundance of time, an abundance of money, an abundance of freedom, abundance of joy, abundance of experience. Abundance represents a lot of things for us. But here's how we can do that. There are 3 things that every man needs in order to live ultimately aligned to his evolutionary design and reinstall those 3 key pieces I spoke about at the beginning of the video. And we're going to be talking about 2 of them tonight. A man needs a sense of personal power. He needs to be able to set out to do something and follow through and do it. He needs to be able to be assertive, but also know himself. He needs to be playful and peaceful and powerful and proud of himself in who he is. That's a lot of stuff to know how to do at the same time. But that's what we talk about as a man having power, personal power. So before we go any further, I'm going to ask you now to put into the chat the rating that you would give yourself in your life right now. If you had to give yourself a score, red, amber, or green, traffic light style, in how powerful you think and feel you are in your own life. Green would be, I have unlimited amounts of energy. I have a confidence in myself. I'm assertive with people. I can set boundaries. Amber would be like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes I am, but sometimes I'm not. It's inconsistent. Red would be, I know that this is the thing that I need to work on. I know that I need to be more powerful in myself. Red from Chris, amber from James, amber. Amber seems to be the common thread. We know that there are ways, 100%, lots of opportunity to improve. Fantastic. Thanks, men, for that honest assessment. We're going to be talking about 2 out of these 3 things, but I'm going to give you the summary level of all 3. The second thing that a man needs to be truly aligned to his design and have a life of impact and abundance is a clear purpose. And purpose for us is not just an idea. And purpose for us is more than just you going home and taking your paycheck home to your kids and your wife. This is about the thing that you're doing in this life to impact the world in a positive way beyond your family, beyond a job. That also has a plan attached to that so that you can execute on that. So again, how clear are you on your purpose? Red, amber, or green? Green would be, I know my purpose. I can tell you what it is, and I tell you what the plan is and how I'm going to get there. Amber would be like, I have some ideas. I've kind of got some general concepts, but I don't really have a structured plan. Some greens there. Fantastic to see. I love that. Excellent. Excellent. And some reds there as well. Red would be, I do not have a plan. I'm not clear on my purpose. I go to work and I get paid and I come home, I go on holidays and I repeat the cycle. Really good. Thank you, men. So if you're watching along on the recording, I invite you to do the same thing, giving yourself a score, writing it down so that you can remember. The third pillar that we talk about needing to be aligned and unstoppable, impactful and abundant is pack. For me, pack means I'm around people who inspire me. I have a collection of men specifically who I can learn from, who are better than me in some ways, but who I also contribute to. So they are a group of peers. They are a group of people who are also at times your mentors, but who are also at times receiving the benefit of your wisdom and experience. They are willing to have hard conversations with you and they inspire you to want to do better. That would be a green. So give yourself a score now. Type into the chat, pack, red, amber, green. What is the quality of the people in your life? You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Do you have high quality people around you? A lot of ambers, Couple of reds, couple of greens. Fantastic. For those men who are involved already in our Primal Man Project programs, I'd be very surprised if you weren't at a green. But for those who are maybe drifting around the outskirts and dabbling occasionally, let's see if we can do some work to get those colors in the green. So tonight, where we're going to be focused our time and what we're focused in terms of delivering for you in the Forge, if you join us, is in these two areas, power and pack. The work we do of purpose, we do in another program, which you can ask about, we can tell you about later. But these are the two areas we're going to be focused on. So I'm going to show you the model that we've used to help understand where we are in our power. How do I know if I'm powerful as a man? How do I know the areas in my life that I know that need work? Here is what we do in Primal. We use what's called an archetypal framework. These archetypes were developed by Carl Jung, built on by other authors, and we've summarized them in this way. So I want you now to do a similar process, traffic lighting yourself. The king is the part of us that's clear on where we're going and clear on who we are, has a sense of purpose and a sense of pride, can lead himself and lead others. Hold your scores till the end, and I'll get you to do king, warrior, magician, lover into the chat so we can see which one relates to which. The warrior is the sense of assertiveness, the sense of personal power, but also persistence. When you start, you're willing to continue, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's difficult, you take the action that's necessary. The king sees the vision of what's needed. The warrior takes the action. The magician. The magician is the part of us that's connected to the mystery and the spirituality of life, but also the peacefulness within us, and is also able to play in the mystery and play in our life. So we talk about the magician with play and peace. The magician can dance in the supermarket, is willing to be a goose and doesn't take himself too seriously, but also has a deep sense of curiosity about the world. A beautiful archetype, often misunderstood. Finally is the lover. The lover is not just about romantic relationships. We talk about the lover as being passionate and present, can tell the people in your life that you love them, will cry in a movie if it's there for you, willing to wear your heart on your sleeve, willing to express how you feel, and loves the experience of life and can tell you about it. So giving yourself a red, orange, red, amber, or green score, write down king, warrior, magician, lover in the chat, and next to it, write the score that you're giving yourself in each of these archetypes. Do that now. Dan Cregan, reds and ambers. Slade. Nice work. Okay. Bestie, warrior, red. Magician, amber. Okay, so good mix of results. Let's keep getting those in, men. If you're following along in the recording, invite you to do this for yourself as well. Even if you've done this process before, this is a really good thing to check in with where you are. Thanks, Daz. Chris, red in the king. Green as hell in the magician. Yes. There is a polarity relationship that I've found in these archetypes. If you are strong in the warrior king, the side that we think of as the yang, you will often be less strong in the side of the yin. So vice versa. If you're a magician dominant or a lover dominant man, you might find that you have an area on the opposite, the polarity side, that you might need to work on. Arthur, red in the warrior. Matt B, red in the king. All right, perfect. Thank you, men. So this was step one in my discovery about the areas that I needed to work on within myself. When I started doing personal development, I was a red in the king, I was a red in the warrior, and I was a green in the magician, but a green for the wrong reasons. I was manipulative and seductive. And so I was green in the sense I had both of those sides cultivated, but they weren't clean expressions of those archetypes. So stage one for us to understand how to improve as men is to understand what needs to be improved. What we're going to be talking about a little bit later on tonight is how to do that. So Keep your results handy. Take them from the chat, write them down somewhere where you can keep them. Once a man has done the work to understand where he is in his archetypes, understand the work that's needed to build each of these, and it begins the process of doing this work, that helps to create a powerful man. What is also needed and is essential is having the people around you that will hold you to a higher standard and inspire you to go further. These are the three things that I've found in the work that I've done are necessary to have, to have a sustainable, inspiring, and a positively contributing pack. If I have people in my life who I want to keep around me, they need to have a commitment to be a part of something that I'm with them in, meaning there needs to be a shared commitment. Who's ever been in a footy team, a sporting team, or a project team where you had a shared vision? Say yes in the chat, shared vision. You had something that you were working towards. You had something that was driving the group, and that you saw as a result, there was an enormous amount of cohesion. You guys got on the same page. You guys got whatever you needed to get done. But then what did you notice when the project was over? Or what did you notice when football season or cricket season was over? Everybody dispersed. So what was missing in that piece? In that moment, you had all three pieces, but what was missing? If there is no nexus of connection, you have not got a pack. If you see somebody twice a year, that's not your pack. If you speak to somebody once a quarter, that's not your pack. In connection, we talk about the need for there to be a drumbeat. There needs to be regular, consistent connection in order to maintain the relationship, in order to maintain commitment, in order to maintain trust. And the final piece, and probably the most important, is that these people need to have a shared sense of culture. The people in your life need to have, and you want to keep around, you need to have a shared set of values. But how do you have a shared set of values with people if you don't know your own? So the process starts with an understanding of yourself before you can begin to congregate the people around you that you know have the similar shared values. So that is what we call our pack framework. These are the three things that I've found are essential. Whenever either of these three things has been missing in my life, I can see that the group disbands. There's no longer a nexus for connection. There's no longer a shared vision. There's no longer a regular means or method of communication and connection. So what I found in my life, in order to get the results that I'm looking for, I need to have these three things in place in order to have a healthy pack. So I want to ask you men now to give yourself a score. We've already done the score for pack, so we'll pause that. So we're going to just pause here, and I'm going to get some feedback from the gallery. I want to bring you off mute. Where can you see you have had a good pack in your life, and where can you see you are now? I'm going to invite some sharing here. Let's raise your digital hand. Bestie, come off, brother. Where can you see you've had a good pack in your life? Where can you see you are now?
To be honest, Jace, I've never had a good pack in my life until this last year, and it's been absolutely phenomenal to be a part of this team.
Yeah, tell me what life was like before you had a pack, my brother.
It was pretty vacant. It was no direction, no support, lone wolfing it, trying to figure things out on my own. Did all the personal development stuff that you went through, but didn't develop a pack at the same time, so nothing ever stuck.
What have you noticed has changed since being a part of this pack?
The support from the men has been phenomenal. Their insight, their professionalism, uh, everything that I can stand to learn from another man has been part of this team.
Yeah, phenomenal, man. And some tangible results from that. What have you seen?
I've seen direction. I've seen a happier marriage. I've seen friendships grow. I've experienced
And you launched your coaching business.
fantastic coaching business. Yes.
Don't forget that, brother. All right, celebrating you. Thank you for your share. We're going to get a quick share from Glenn and then Nasha.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Chris. And one of my favorite things I have gained from having a pack of powerful brothers, powerful men, every time I felt stuck or falling into my pit, just the thought that I have those brothers there has been enough for me to climb out of my pit. Aho.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Glenn. Nasha.
Yeah, Jace, I really noticed a big difference being part of the Primal Man Project from a couple of years ago when I was in a relationship and I put everything into that relationship and I lost myself. So I made everything about the relationship and let my friendships fall by the wayside. And being part of the Primal Man Project has just reminded me how important those friendships are and how good it is to have men that can hold me accountable as well, which is a massive component for me.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Nasha. Daz, last share.
Since being a part of this pack, I've felt a renewed sense of freedom and power as well. Freedom in understanding that there are men that I can turn to for not only help, but also accountability as well. And power just in terms of, yeah, just feeling leveled up like most of the time, which is fantastic. Just seeing the mirror in other men and also just getting the insight from other men as well as a reflection back to myself. Yeah.
Tangible results. 3 things you've gained since having a pack.
Level up in my business, level up in my relationships, and just rediscovering the parts of myself that I was too afraid to acknowledge and now fully embrace.
Fuck yes. Thanks, brother. Yeah. They were not plants, men. This was not part of the show. This is all spontaneous. But I love it. I love it when a good plan comes together. All right. So here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to show you. There's an old way and then there's a new way. So we're going to show you the old way of doing things. This is in man land. There's an old way of solving a problem. There's an old way of working on yourself. And this was my way, by the way. So I made this decision that something needed to change in my life. Great. Okay. There was a rock bottom moment. Something needed to change. I started listening to podcasts, audiobooks, YouTubes, going on some courses. Basically, what I was doing is stabbing in the dark. There was no fucking direction to anything I was learning. I had no guidance into what was most important to do from the start. It was kind of like meandering around on my own. I realized pretty quickly that I didn't resonate with the people in my life. You might be at this place in your life right now. You don't resonate with what they're doing. You see our little mate here having a chunder. I love that emoji. So what do? You stay home. You stop going to the pub. You start working on yourself. You start reading. Maybe you start working out. But you realize you're lone wolfing it big time. And this was me, 100% lonely as fuck. And where you end up is doom scrolling on social media, but it's okay because it's positive content, right? Here's the new way. Realizing, the Chunder bloke had to do another turn up. Realizing something about your life needs to change. Find a community of like-minded men who've already walked that path. It's like having a roadmap. It's like going to climb a mountain and you've got people who've already been on this road before you. Realize you resonate big time with a bunch of these epic men. Then start kicking ass and avoiding years of solo work, trying to figure it all out yourself, learning way faster because you're learning from others. And you make massive progress in your health, in your relationships, in your success in a short period of time. I wish somebody had what I've created when I started my journey. I wish I had this. this is why I'm doing this. This is why I want to give this to as many men as I can. So, men, there is a better way than the way that most of us are doing this. So I want to introduce you to what we're going to be sharing about tonight. This is the Forge. The Forge is the culmination, men, of the last 4 years of me running what used to be the men's circles. And I'll tell you a brief story. When I first started doing Primal Man Project, I had no discernment about the kind of men that I wanted to invite into the circle. Anybody and everybody who was struggling, down and out, having a hard time could come along. And that was fine. And that was great. I was really here to help as many men as I could. But sitting in these circles, what I would see and experience was that there was a stagnancy about the way that some men wanted to operate. They would share about their challenges and about their problems, and they would get wisdom from other men. But when I saw them at the next circle, they'd be sharing the same challenge. And when I saw them at the next circle, they'd be sharing the next challenge. So over time, what we did was introduce accountability. We introduced action. We introduced men needing to make a commitment to moving something forward, not just to share a problem, but to make a commitment to actually take action. And we recently evolved what was the men's circle into what we've recently called the mastermind. Letting you in on a little secret here, this program called the Forge was always in the plan. When we launched what we called the mastermind, the intention was for us to establish a really high standard of facilitation and calls from really high quality facilitators, and for us to get into a rhythm and get into our stride to launch what we now call the Forge. So the Forge is an online community that will be hosted on a separate platform outside of Facebook that will replace the Monday night masterminds for those men who have been going, which is a significant upgrade. We are going to be taking you through what's involved in the program, what we're doing. But here in summary, the 4 pillars of the Forge, which relate, and I'll talk about the archetypes here in a minute: mindset, momentum, mateship, and mastery, which correlates to the king, the warrior, the lover, and the magician. We are using an archetypal based foundation to help men ultimately level up in their health, in their relationships, and in their wealth. I'll be running through everything about what's involved under the summary of the screen here, the weekly lives, the hours of training, and the accountability. But this is the Forge. What is the Forge? Well, who's this for? Actually, we're going to do that first. I mentioned before about men who were down and out, men who were in the pits of despair and depression. This is not that place. This is not a place for those men. So men, and if you have to ask what that means, it's not you. I was told to take that out, but I don't care. If you have confusion about your gender identity, this is not your place. If you believe that there are more than 2 genders, it's also probably not your place. We are looking for men who want to be men and men who are clear about what that means. You won't find anybody using any pronouns here. Anybody else can do whatever they want out there in the world, but this is our container. This is our community. That's how we're going to roll here with great respect. So for any man who wants to improve, you got to want to improve. There needs to be something of a delta. You need to have a gap from where you are to where you want to be. And finally, men who are actually self-responsible. We don't want passengers. We want a community of active, thriving men who are participating in what we're doing. Who is this not for? We are not going to be offering you any get-rich-quick schemes. So there won't be any e-commerce or crypto hacks or drop shipping. We won't be offering a space to any network marketers who want to peddle water filters. We won't be inviting coaches who want to come into this community to come and troll for clients, so you'll slide into your DMs. Crypto bros who hire Lambos to pose for the gram, or anybody who identifies as anything other than being a man. So what is included in the Forge? Men, we are offering weekly group coaching calls. There will be 1 a week, so 4 per month. We will be providing you access to over 50 hours of online training in areas of finance, relationships, health, sexuality, masculinity, motivation, goal setting, peak performance, business mastery, spirituality, meditation, leadership. That's only about half of the things that I've got in there because we couldn't fit them on the slide. We have an enormous library of trainings and personal development that covers all different domains of your life and the things that you want to work on. The final piece, which is probably what I would consider to be the most important, you can do all the training in the world. You can turn up to the group calls all you like, but unless you have a group of men who are actually holding you accountable, none of this actually matters a damn. So I'm going to take you through how that works in the Forge here in a moment. Here's how it works. I mentioned before, we are here to help you to build in your areas of opportunity under your king, your warrior, your lover, and your magician. The Forge weekly calls are broken into 4 calls. The first call of the month is the King's Call, followed by the Warrior's Call, followed by the Lover's Call, and the Magician's Call. This will be working on your mindset, your momentum, your mateship, and your mastery, respectively. We have themed calls that will be focusing on particular topics underneath the banner of each of these archetypes. So remembering your scores of ambers and reds from the archetype breakdown score that we did, those are the areas that you would be thinking about. How do I get more mastery in those areas? I need to be focusing on attending that. A little bit more detail here. So what does it mean to work on forging unbreakable mindset? So the King's Call relates to building and focuses on building wealth and mindset. Those are the 2 life domains. We do this through leadership, goal setting, planning, and ultimately executing the vision for your life. We are here to have powerful men create powerful lives. This is where you plan the overview for that. The king creates the plan. The Warrior's Call. This will be focused on building healthy habits and building resilience and taking accountability for ourselves, taking action and building fortitude. The Warrior's Call will be about ensuring that you're taking action and moving forward with your goals, as well as the interpersonal confidence and assertiveness that we know we need to. Boundary setting, as an example. The Lover's Call, forging genuine mateship. So we're going to be focused on building relationships and connection through brotherhood, but also through emotional intelligence, empathy, self-awareness, and emotional healing. If working on romantic relationships is something that is an opportunity for you, this is where we're going to be focused in part in this call. But what I'm really clear on, and Nasha, you spoke about this earlier on, when you have a really powerful relationship of brotherhood with really good trusted men, you have far less need of women. So there's a lot less neediness. So what we do is through brotherhood and emotional intelligence, we give you the skills and the awareness of what you need to have thriving interpersonal relationships, romantic and platonic. The Magician's Call. So focused on building spirituality, although you can't really build spirituality. It's a bit of an oxymoron, but focused on the areas of spirituality and stillness, using practices like breath work and meditation, self-inquiry, self-mastery. For those men who've been in the mastermind calls and been on some of Samuel's work, he'll be a man who's focused in this area. But not to limit him either, he'll be working on other calls as well. The purpose here is to discover the parts about yourself that you may not have seen, to discover parts about the world that you may not have seen. The magician is about insight. The magician is about discovery. And that's a part of the work that we're going to be doing in the Magician's Call. So how the Forge works. We have an online training portal. Each of the kings, warriors, lovers, magicians calls will be recorded and will be stored under what we call the quests. The kings, warriors, lovers, and magicians quests are part of the training portal that are included. So in order for you to have organization of the way that you want to focus, or in order for you to be clear on what you want to work on, all of the trainings that we provide will be congregated, will be cataloged under those headings. And you'll be able to access the online portal on a computer or on your phone. We have 8 expert facilitators and coaches who have decades of experience in leadership, resilience coaching, business coaching, mindset, Norse spiritualism, which no prizes for guessing that's our brother Samuel. We have a primal wellness coach. We have a relationships coach. And we have many of them here on the call. So I'm going to take a moment now and I'm going to ask some of our brothers who are facilitators, coaches, to introduce themselves. So men, I'm going to give you no more than 30 seconds to introduce yourself. And Darren, you are going first. What are you about? What are you here to do? Why are you going to do it? And why do you want to be a part of the Forge?
Yeah, cool. Okay. I had something prepared, but I'm not going to do that.
Perfect. Go.
Right. So, man, my name is Darren Herford. I am a 6-year Army veteran. I undertook Special Forces selection courses 3 times for both 2 Commando and SASR. My area is primarily focused on the king and the warrior, particularly the savage as well, one of the dark masculine archetypes. The reason I'm here is to make you fucking stronger. That's it. If I'm boiling it down to brass tacks, that is fucking it. Anybody who has had my special brand of medicine, both in what I do outside of Primal as well as in Primal, will understand what I'm talking about. But if you are looking to upgrade your life and use all parts of yourself with regards to the warrior and the king, and really level up every aspect of your life, then I'll be presenting those things to you to help you do that.
Oh, fantastic. Well done. Beautiful. Where's our brother Brett? Coach facilitator number 2. Fire away.
2. Brett Paula. I am coaching and facilitating on the Kings and Warriors call. My background is in finance, hospitality, boxing coaching. So you'll be seeing me helping with finances, fitness, and everything in between. I'm also the program delivery manager for Primal Man Project. So part of my role as well will be keeping things moving in the background and making sure that the platform works as it needs to work for all you men out there. And previously I facilitated on the mastermind. I help out on the spears. If it's Primal, then it's probably got my fingerprint on it somewhere, just like Jason. Oh,
yeah. Oh, thank you, brother. All right, we're going to go now to Slade. Take it away.
Hey brothers, I'm Slade. I am Primal's content creator and I will be facilitating in the King and the Warrior. So my main focus is mindset. I've had a life where I've struggled a lot with mental health and gained a lot of tools over the years of improving my mindset to a point where it can become unstoppable. And these limiting beliefs have fast-tracked myself into business, into coaching, into facilitating, and now I'm sitting here in Bali. So the results show.
Yeah.
Man, super keen. My intention for this is to, share my story and give you the tools that I've learned the fucking hard way at times, and really get you to a place where you've leveled up and feel empowered within yourself. Oh,
Thanks, Slade. Aho. Fuck, these guys are epic. Samuel, take it away.
Thank you, brother. Excuse my voice and coughing. I'm battling a cold at the moment, but I'm here because I wasn't going to fucking miss this.
Yeah.
And my area of focus is magician, but I will be doing some other areas as well. My background is in spirituality, meditation, and a system of magic and divination called the Elder Futhark runes, which originate from Scandinavia around 2,000 years ago. Now, these ancient symbols are very powerful, very simple process, but a very powerful process to help connect you to the higher powers, but also your higher self. So I'll be taking the men through various practices to connect to the higher powers, but also connect to your higher self and build a life that you desire. Aho.
Yes, aho. Thank you, Samuel. Appreciate you, brother. All right, who else have we got? We got Slate. We've got Way on the call. Go for it, Way.
Hey man, my name is Wei. 20 years in the engineering, construction, project management industry. I'm also actively building a online business. I had a few cracks at it. It wasn't until I came into the Primal Man Project that I had the chance to work on myself and did a lot of work on myself to help me get unstuck. I'll be facilitating in the Kings and the Warrior calls, mostly around the mindset that's required to go from an employee to entrepreneur, to overcome the nice guy, so that you can live your life not seeking the approval of others. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the Forge.
Beautiful. Have I missed anybody that's on the call, Brett? Help me out. So many faces. It's fucking great. So good. All right, that's us. Beautiful. We haven't got a mic, do we? No. All right.
we're
Perfect.
missing Mike and missing Ryan.
Okay, beautiful. Well, men, you've just met the facilitators. They are a pack of fucking legends, and their expertise and experience in all of their domains. I will also be facilitating in the Forge. So here we go. I need to introduce myself. So, man, I'll be focusing in my area of expertise that I've cultivated in the last few years in the area of relationships. Some of you who've been through the 3-day spear have seen the beginnings of my expertise in the area of dominance and submission, masculinity and femininity, and polarity. I went through a really deep journey of discovering the darker sides of my desires, the destructive nature of seduction and relationships. And I came back from the darker sides with a cultivated awareness of how relationships can operate in a really harmonious and a really powerful way. I'll be sharing more about those archetypes, those frameworks, and the masculine and feminine polarity work in the lover archetype calls, so the lover's calls in the Forge. I also have built Primal and have built an incredible business and an incredible life. So I'll also be diving into the other archetype areas to teach on the areas of mindset mastery in business, and specifically around discovering and identifying really who you are as a man. Identity and masculinity has been an area that I've been obsessed with over the last few years, as well as neuroscience, positive psychology, and ancient wisdom. So I'll be kind of dabbling in and around the 4 different calls, and I look forward to being able to bring this to you, having been out of the mastermind now for some time. Looking forward to diving back into bringing the full weight of my experience and what I've learned to benefit you bros. So thanks for hearing me. All right. So those are the facilitators. Man, we're making fucking good time. I'm really pleased with this. I normally go way over time. So the third pillar, or the third element of how we're going to be operating in the Forge, will be the tribal groups. So this is probably the most important part. You can go and attend the weekly calls. You can go and do the learning. You can do the training in the online portals. But unless you have a really tight-knit group of men who you can be held accountable to and held accountable with and supported by, what I've experienced is we lack the follow through to implement and execute the changes. So here's how this is going to work. Each month on the King's Call, you'll be allocated into a group of 4 to 6 men. We're going to keep the groups kind of small, and these will be your tribal groups. Men, there will be a tribal group leader that will be voluntary each month. And the job of this tribal group is to be very clear on what your goals are for the month, and to maintain connection and communication during the 4 weeks between these calls, so that you're getting the support that you need, so that you're getting the accountability, so that the actions that you've committed to taking, you have men who are in your corner and have agreed to do so, to be there to ensure that you're making the progress that you're aiming for. So that is the third pillar of the Forge, is the tribal groups. So, men, here is the offer. What we are providing you are weekly group coaching calls. These I have paid in other programs $1,000 a month. So $250 a week is not an unusual number to pay for a group coaching and facilitation experience. Over the year, that is a $12,000 value. We have currently 50 hours of online courses in the platform, which is, I would conservatively place that at a dollar value of $3,000. I think that's probably undercooked personally. And here's the thing about that number of courses. Each week, we're going to be adding more. So that library is only going to grow. The monthly accountability group, I've also participated in mastermind communities where you pay up to $1,000 a month to be a part of a high performing and high commitment level accountability group. And we provide you a community of like-minded brothers. I'm not going to put a dollar value on that because that's fucking priceless. I've met many men who are wandering out in the woods of their life who would love and pay anything to be a part of a really tight-knit and powerful community like this. So here's the value that I've put nominally is probably about $15,000 a year is what I would say based on what we've put down. We will be offering this to men outside of this call for $997 per 12 months, meaning if you pay in advance for 12 months of access, it's $997. What I want to offer you guys is a founding members rate of $497 for the year. So if you guys decide to join us, if you guys decide to sign up in the next 48 hours, take the leap and join us in the Forge. It's $497 upfront in full for the year. Why am I doing that? is because I want the community to be stacked with a pack of fucking legends who are committed to doing the work on themselves right out the gate. So I have an incentive to incentivize you men to join, but I'm also really clear that I'm not here to deal with window shoppers. So if you guys want in and you know this is what you want to be a part of and you're ready to hit that button, we're going to be sending a link now for you brothers here after we do a bit of Q&A. But that's the offer. That's the invitation. This is how we're going to get you to a place that you want. This is how we're going to be able to address the challenges that you shared in the chat. This is how we're going to be able to get you to greens in those archetypal areas. This is how we're going to provide you the community that has the shared commitment, regular connection, and a common culture of men who want to be here because they want to do the work on themselves, and they're as aligned to doing the work on themselves as they are as helping you to do the work with you. So that's the offer. Questions from the bros. The calls will be on a Monday night. They will go for 75 minutes. How are the groups added together? On the King's call, Adrian, we will be randomly allocating you to a new group of men. We do that for two reasons. One, so that you don't just keep going with your besties and stay into little cliques. Two, to move you around the circle of men so you start to build relationships with the entire group. How will they find their appropriate quest? So here's the process. If you decide you're in and you sign up, coming into the Forge, you will take our archetypal blueprint test. This is a test that I've put together to help identify areas of your strengths and weaknesses, and it will give you a scorecard. So let's say I get 18 in the King, I might get 12 in the Lover, I might get 15 in the Magician, 12 in the Warrior. I know that the quests, which are the areas specific to what I want to work on, would be where I would like to focus to get the best leverage. So I can guide myself in my learning. When you get into the platform, there's a lot of material. There's a lot of courses in there. How you focus your initial quests will be using that archetypal blueprint score. Once you've started that journey, you're able to then access the weekly calls, which will be kicking off on the 1st of July. So the schedule for launch, this is how it's going to work. If you are currently in the roundtable or the path, you have VIP access and it's included as part of your existing program. So you men will get instant access to the Forge. We would love you to go in there, test it, play with it, give us your feedback. And the balance of the men who are going to be either taking up the special offer, so for the next 48 hours, will be getting access and will be kicking off the first King's Call on the 1st of July. So if you're not currently in the roundtable or the path and you want to say yes and jump in, you'll be starting with us on the 1st of July, 7 p.m. If you do not choose to join us in that special offer for the next 2 days, you will then go to the standard offer of $97 a month, which will be offered to the general public, $997 upfront for the year. All right. So, men, that is the full detail of the Forge. That is the offer and the invitation. Who's keen to jump in? Yeah. For those who are ready, Brett, if you can please put the link in the chat. For those who are interested in taking up the special offer, you'll have a payment link and you will be granted access from the 1st of July. Brett will be in touch with all the details.